What would it be, Ryan the Great? And today we are talking about the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys, and the Philadelphia Eagles win over the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, it was electric in that stadium last night. It really sounded like the Philly stadium, you know what I'm saying? But the Eagles were able to get the win. I almost had a mini heart attack during the game when the Eagles almost, blew that lead in the third quarter. But we got the job done. Through three quarters, or maybe not the first quarter, they didn't score, but through the second quarter where they scored 20 points and the fourth quarter where they did enough to win, they looked really good. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about that, guys, I'm going to tell you guys to subscribe and post notifications on. Make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And without further ado, let's get into it. Jalen Hurts, he wasn't as dominant as I wanted him to be. He only completed 60% of his passes for just over 150 yards, but he did throw 2 touchdowns, which we haven't seen him throw too many throwing touchdowns. We have seen him do a lot of running touchdowns, so it was good, to get some throwing touchdowns in there. He still is consistent with his passes. It's nothing terrible. It's not like he's playing like Baker Mayfield, who only completes 50% of his passes. Or I think it's actually 40. I don't even know. But he finally did not run the ball 16 times. He only ran the ball 9 times, and that was mostly just when they pushed him forward into the line on third downs. So I'm fine. I'm very glad that he did not run the ball 16 times because I don't want him getting injured. Sanders didn't really do too much in the first half. I feel like they did feature more of a passing game. But in the second half, he did pick it up. And I was a little upset the Eagles really didn't run like those plays where he cuts back. Like the all offensive line pushes the defense one way and then he cuts back and gets, 10, 15 yards on the run. I was kind of upset they didn't run those plays, but I don't know. Maybe the Cowboys schemed against it. I don't know. The receivers, they absolutely ate up the Dallas secondary, and finally it was a good mix of both Brown and Devontae Smith, who each also had a touchdown grab. Smith continued just to run his best routes, which was his comeback route, and he was running some routes. He was running some new routes. I saw he was running some. I think he ran some dig routes. He ran I don't even know what to call it. I'm just gonna call it like a 5-10 yard post. So that was really good. Brown, he just terminated in the first half. He must be the best slant route runner I've ever seen in my life. Or not that I've ever seen in my life, but he's probably the best slant route runner in the league. And once again, he's still amazing on third down. And he absolutely ate up Trayvon Diggs in the first half. And I'm only saying the first half because they didn't really go to him in the second half. I think he could have had over 100 yards receiving if they would have went to him more in the second half. But it's all right. And he really beat Trayvon Diggs every play. The only times he didn't catch, I think Trayvon Diggs had like one deflection. And then I think on the first play of the game, it was a bad throw or something. So, but other than that, he actually destroyed Trayvon Diggs. And also, both receivers, they made some great plays in motion. They were able to, get away from the defense. And I like that because, it was man coverage. So if you're able to get on the other side of if you're able to get on the other side of the field, then, that just confuses the defense and, he makes some nice plays out of it. Goddard, wasn't as involved as I really wanted him to. The Cowboys linebackers are not much more of, defending, coverage linebackers. They're more rushing linebackers. So I was a little upset they didn't get Goddard involved a little more. He only had 2 catches for 22 yards. But I guess it's all right. Brown and Smith were able to do a lot. So I don't know. The offensive line was amazing in the first half, but in the second half it kind of fell apart when Johnson and Dickerson got hurt. And Lane Johnson absolutely ate up Micah Parsons. It really wasn't a competition. I think there was some stat where Parsons didn't even get a pressure on Hurts in the first half. And you just watch the highlights. Johnson just absolutely killed him. On the pass blocks, he just he just really destroyed him. And Parsons went literally nowhere. Anytime he tried to use his power, Johnson just pushed him back. Anytime he tried to use his speed, he would push him away. It was just a great play, great by Johnson. But I honestly do believe that the Eagles would have trounced the Cowboys in the second half if Johnson and Dickerson did not get injured. And I'm tired of people saying that the Cowboys came back. Johnson and Dickerson got hurt. I would say mostly more of that is Lane Johnson. I mean, do you see what the defense was looking like when the Eagles had their offensive line? The only reason the Cowboys came back is because when they saw that Johnson and Dickerson weren't in there, they started to run their blitzing plays. What don't people understand about that? I don't. The defense, absolutely incredible. Once again, they're being very consistent. They only gave up 17 points. I do want to give some credit to T.J. Edwards, though. He's 9th in tackles this year. He always makes the right play. He's always there to stop the run. T.J. Edwards, let's give some credit to him. Kazir White was a great defender in coverage, and he was able. He was a pretty good defender in coverage. He also, he was there also once again there to stop run plays. I think he had a pass deflection on CD Lamb, which was in the first drive, I think it was, of the game, so that was nice. The defensive line pass rush was absolutely terrible. There was no pressure on Cooper Rush until 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. He had all the time in the world. Really. The defensive rush was all right. In the second half, Zeke did start to warm up, but that was kind of it. Jordan Davis finally did something well. He was able to stop the run on a few plays, and also his presence kind of made the Cowboys hesitate to run the ball up the gut, which I'm okay with. So he made some sort of impact. I'm happy that he's developing in the coming weeks. The secondary, that was supposed to be the Eagles' weak point, and they look absolutely incredible. Obviously, the 3 interceptions, but Slay is probably the best lockdown corner in the NFL. I don't think anybody can prove me otherwise. He had the interception, and he shut down CD Lamb. I didn't even know CD Lamb had 5 receptions. I thought he had 1 or 2. That's how much Slay, played really well on him. And I love the fact that he's able to read the quarterback so well. He just absolutely shuts down CD Lamb. He shuts down, he's just shutting down everybody. Who's he shut down? He shut down Jefferson, McLaurin. He didn't play against the Jaguars. And now he shut down CD Lamb. So I don't think there's really a better lockdown corner in the NFL. But Bradbury definitely was the best defender in the stat sheet, I would say. He had 4 pass deflections, only allowed 2 yards, and held Gallup to only 1 reception when Bradbury was the main defender. I know he had did Bradbury have an interception? No, it was Gardner Johnson that had 2. Okay. Bradbury definitely in the stat sheet was the best player out there. I also liked how the secondary, they played team football. They didn't just try to go for interceptions. They deflected the ball, and I think somebody like Marcus Epps did a real good job in that. Somebody does not have a big role on the team. Just a small little impact of deflecting the ball and affecting the Cowboys' drive. I think that really helps the team. Bradbury also did the same on that play in the end zone where it was first rule touchdown but called back. He was going for the ball. He was trying to knock it out of it. I think it was Noah Brown. He was trying to knock it out of his hands. He didn't go for the interception. He made the team football play, and that's what I loved most about the secondary. Let's give some credit to the coaching. The coaching was absolutely incredible. They outsmarted the Cowboys by a mile. They ate the Cowboys' coaching up. And every team is, trying to find a way to block Micah Parsons. The Eagles didn't block him. The Eagles just let him go and just left him there like any defender. There was plays called to help Hurts get the ball off quickly, which I said he had to do before the game. And yeah, I mean, they just left him there like he was any other player. And also, I forget what it was, but I don't. On the touchdown to Brown, I think it was another play on third down where Hurts he got out of the pocket and Brown was in motion and he was on the other side of the field and there was nobody covering him, or Parsons I think was supposed to be the guy covering him, but Parsons had to make the decision between the quarterback or Brown, and obviously he's going to choose Hurts. So I mean, it's really pick your poison. It's either you have Brown get the reception and run, or you just have Hurts run. Hurts was able to easily get the ball to Brown, and I really loved how they outsmarted Michael Parsons and the Cowboys. That was absolutely incredible. So I'll give some real props to the coaching. On defense, they focused on coverage more, which forced the Cowboys to run the ball, and that was a lot more in the second half, though. So that took a lot more time off the clock, which I think is definitely a way the Eagles won the game. Then I'll also give some credit to Steichen. In the fourth quarter, he made some great adjustments to run the ball through Kelsey, which is all reliable, and that burned the clock to help the Eagles win the game. And also, they ran the ball really well, so you give some credit to the players for executing. But the bottom line, now you have a legit chance to get to the Super Bowl. You've beaten the Vikings, who are 5-1. You just beat the Cowboys. You beat the Cardinals, who just traded for Robbie Anderson. I got to do a future video on that. So now you have a legit chance to get to the Super Bowl. So now we have the bye. Let's get Johnson back. I know Gardner Johnson had that injury, but he did come back in the game. So let's let him rest up. Let's get everybody back, and let's continue to dominate. Now we'll move on to the Cowboys. Rush definitely played below average. They definitely did not trust in Rush, or in Rush we trust, whatever it is. They definitely did not. None of that happened. He didn't even complete 50% of his passes, and he threw 3 interceptions. So Rush really played below average. But the dual threat rushing attack ate the Eagles up again. So that was good, but it really wasn't enough to win the game. It really only happened more in the third, and a little bit, not much in the fourth quarter. The receivers just got absolutely shut down, and I said before the game that the only way the Cowboys win is if the receivers show up, and they did not show up whatsoever. I mean, the tight ends played a better game, and all they ran was, 2-yard passes or screen passes. The receivers looked terrible. The offensive line was okay, but I think that's only because the Eagles focused more on coverage than rushing the passer. Why would they, to be honest, because everything's roughing the passer now. The coaches got completely outcoached by the Eagles. There was no adjustments for Parsons to put some pressure on Hurts. All they did was get lucky when Johnson got hurt, and that was Johnson and Dickerson. I apologize. So they just got lucky, and they just started making play calls to just rush Hurts when the Eagles were down. The defense was pretty bad, and really bad in the first half. They got ate alive by the Eagles' offense. And then in the second half, they looked okay. In the third quarter, they obviously held up. But then in the fourth quarter, they just let the Eagles run the ball right through them. But once again, Lane Johnson got hurt, and I'm going to keep saying it. So they did a little better in the second half. So the bottom line is, I think you really got lucky that Lane Johnson and Dickerson got hurt, or you most likely would have been completely embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. But there were some elements of the game where they did well, like the run through the defense. They were able to double team Davis pretty well. And now you'll have your starting quarterback next week for a warm-up game against the Detroit Lions. So we'll have to see how he looks there. Dak will be back next week. The Eagles will not be playing next week. And also, speaking about next week, I think next Sunday what I'll do for my video, I might preview all the games, and I'll give some final score predictions and maybe a little insight. But that might be about it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you subscribe and post notifications on. And make sure you follow me on Twitch at Ryan the Great Podcast. And as always, Ryan the Great out. Peace.